Hello!
What's up?
We've returned.
Much like Jon Snow to Winterfell.
And this time, it is a triumphant return. Because we're going to be talking about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 9, Battle of the Bastards. We're going to be giving full spoilers for that episode. Also, we're going to be doing full spoilers for pretty much every episode of the show that's ever been produced, and all of the books. So, if you are not caught up...
Why are you watching this?
I don't know. Although I did receive a message from a friend this week who said that she does watch the videos and she should really stop because she's way behind on Game of Thrones. And I'm like, you should just not do that.
I think I got that same message, and I was like...
They were like, well, you guys...
It's not a good review if we don't talk about what happened, so...
Yeah, and yes, for the people who have inquired, because there are actually people inquiring at this point. Only a couple, but hey, that's more than we had when we started this.
I guess you should start an official Twitter page.
There are people who are asking us if we will do videos about other things, other movies, books, whatever, TV shows. And the answer to that question is yes, we will. But it might not be right away. It might be one of those things where we have to kind of figure out what we want to do once Game of Thrones is over this season. So,
which will be next week,
So we're going to have to kind of figure that out. But we'll get back to you on that. Anyways, so full spoilers for the episode again. The first thing I want to say about this episode is that I had expected that it was going to do what Episode 9 of Season 2 and Season 4 did, where they were singularly focused. Where, like, we were entirely in King's Landing for the Battle of Blackwater, and in Season 4 we were entirely at the Wall for the battle with the Wildlings. I was expecting that this episode was going to be completely Northern-centric for the entire hour, and it was exactly 60 minutes. But what we got was the first 13 or 14 minutes of the episode actually wrapped up the Marine storyline. And there was actually even a second scene in Marine. So we got Jon and Dany. We got fire and ice this episode instead of them splitting it up the way they sometimes do. What did you think about the ending, the culmination of the battle in Marine, Logan?
Got wrapped up really quickly, which I appreciate, because I don't think anybody really wanted to see Marine in a giant battle for, like, a couple of weeks. It wouldn't have made any sense either. I'm like, she has dragons. This would get wrapped up rather quickly.
And unlike last year when they did and it's understandable, they had a lot of storylines last year in the finale, but you remember how the whole battle at Winterfell last season felt really rushed with Stannis and the way they did it?
There was no battle.
There
was an aerial shot.
There was an aerial shot of some CGI troops.
Then there was Stannis getting his head off by Brienne of Tarth, who made the dumbest statement I've ever heard in my life. In the name of Renly of House Baratheon, first his name, rightful ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. He wasn't the rightful ruler.
Yeah, so what I liked about it is it did it well. Like, the CG for the dragons was incredible. The ships looked good. The fighting looked good. The siege, last week looked really good, and the continued siege of them hurling the fire bombs at the Great Pyramid or whatever, that all looked good. And Daenerys was just hammering home that Mad Queen thing that's been building, where she's like, we're going to crucify all the masters and burn their cities, and Tyrion was like, you sound exactly like your daddy, and she goes, no, this is different. It's like, it's not. It's actually not different. You're talking about burning down cities that would kill innocent people.
If she had just been like, I'm going to kill all these soldiers at our door, and then those three idiots who showed back up, I'd have been like...
And then finally, and it's assumed that this happened off screen after Tyrion says, let me suggest an alternate approach. Finally, Tyrion suggests something that really will work. And she's able to see that, yes, even though things got out of hand while I was gone, Tyrion is a very useful advisor. So I was glad that worked out well. I liked how they left one of the masters alive to go back and tell everybody, like, this is what happens when you mess with Daenerys. I thought all that looked great. I thought all of it was cool. It was all befitting. I liked that Theon and Yara showed up, and there was no like fanfare about it. It was just kind of like, let's cut straight to the important conversation. Do you think? You can tell me, like, am I just a perv, or do you think that Yara and Danny were kind of eyeing each other a little bit? Like,
I mean,
I know Yara was eyeing Danny, but
there was more chemistry there than between John and Sansa. So.
that's just a chemistry that the actors can't help with each other. I don't think that's supposed to be. Yeah. But
I mean, if it did, I'd be like, whatever, they're cousins anyway. But
there are all these people that think John and Sansa want each other, and I think it's that Kit Harington and Sophie Turner have good chemistry, and it just bleeds through sometimes. But I think in the scene where, I love how Yara's like, I mean, I'm not coming here with a marriage proposal, but I wouldn't say no. What it is. I mean,
release the Kraken and all that,
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that when Daenerys went to like shake her hand or whatever, like I half expected her just like full on kissed her in the face.
That would have been what caused.
It would have been awkward, but
Dario to be like, I can't be with you. I'd have been like, you're stupid.
I'd be like, Dario, you should have played your cards right on that one. But yeah, so what do you think of their alliance? It's interesting. It's not one that I would have thought about before this season because it's not what happened in the books. But
it's smart.
It makes sense.
They have no hope of beating Euron on their own. Daenerys needs all the ships she can get. The Iron Islands really aren't that important to controlling the west of Westeros. So,
yeah,
why not just be like, yeah, sure, you can have it. As long as you don't raid, rape, and pillage stuff anymore. So, sure.
Yeah.
Although this does set a precedent for people being like, I mean, you can have Westeros, but you need to leave us alone. When she meets John and he's like, you can keep your crappy-ass Iron Throne, stay out in the north.
Yeah, Tyrion makes a good point when he says, well, what if other people start demanding? And she goes, well, look, she's not demanding, she's asking. Other people are free to ask. With the implicit, they're free to ask, and I'm probably going to say no, which will be hypocritical of Daenerys. But,
yeah,
I definitely think that all of this, I think that what's keeping Daenerys from being her father right now is that she has good friends and good advisors who are not crazy and who are not power hungry. So I think right now Daenerys is still teetering. I do think that this season has done everything it can to show us, though, that she's quite capable of going off in that villainous direction. I also think that next season we're probably going to get some romantic stuff between her and Yara. And I don't think I'm just being a perv. I think that that's actually, in the books, Daenerys is bisexual. On the show, she has not been. Why not? We've been getting lots and lots of like guy on guy stuff that wasn't in the books. So, yeah, that was pretty much all that happened in Meereen, but it was very significant. It looks like, just like last week, they finally wrapped up all the long-winded Bravo storyline with Arya, and now they finally, after 2 seasons, wrapped up the bulk of the Meereen story for Daenerys. It's time to set our eyes towards Westeros, which I think will happen next week. So in the north, which is where most of the episode was spent, Jon and Ramsay met for the first time.
Yep.
It wasn't very pleasant.
Jon Snow was not impressed.
Jon was like, hey, why don't we just, duke this out one-on-one, man-to-man, just go ahead and wrap this up.
Better man than I am, because I'd have pulled out a crossbow, shot Ramsay dead, and been like, we're not doing this. All y'all need to get out of my castle right now. I don't believe in these rules of combat. I'm coming with a mission. That's to kill my enemy.
I thought that like he
honor
could
me.
have.
Jamie Lannister got real far in life without having to worry about honor. So to hell with it.
Yeah, I thought they could have killed Ramsay and the Small John and Karstark, all of them. I thought they could have killed them just then and probably sent a Raven to Winterfell like the rightful leaders of Winterfell are back. Either join us or get gone somewhere.
Pretty much.
But
you need to get with this or you can get with that.
Then Sansa and Jon have that moment where Sansa's like, look, I don't know about battles, but I know Ramsay, and don't underestimate him. Don't, fall for his traps, which we see Jon does kind of do. Don't.
Do you have any advice? Don't do what he wants you to do.
And they were both right in that situation where he's like, that is kind of obvious, but it's like one of those things that, even though it is obvious, it kind of does need to be said in that moment, like as a reminder, like, don't underestimate what you're up against. And so when the battle, and then, I love the moment with Davos and Tormund where they're talking and they kind of bond there, and Tormund like offers him a drink, which was like clearly like a big sign of like camaraderie right there. And I like how Davos is like, oh, that sour goat's milk sounds delicious, but I like to walk before a battle.
It sounds
and it was a little bit like convenient that little dough toy that he gave Shireen didn't completely burn.
I mean, it was sturdier than her.
Yeah, you're right. But I did think there was nice symmetry. She was burned to death in episode 9 last season, and he finds out definitively what happened to her. I'm sure he suspected it was something bad, but he finds out for sure, what happened. And
sometimes
you
just gotta burn little kids.
I like that Davos was like, right, we're gonna focus on this battle.
Right.
Then afterwards,
because if this had been any other TV show, he'd have been like, "You killed her! Prepare to die!" And I'd have been like, "No, it's
not the time. Next week is the time."
Yeah.
But so, and then speaking of Melisandre, we finally we get a scene between Jon and Melisandre since she brought him back to life, and he's essentially like, "Hey, do you have?"
Yeah, he has not really interacted with her since like episode 3.
Yeah, since she was like, "You might be the prince who was promised. Sorry, I brought you back from the dead. What'd you see?" Like they haven't, and so essentially, like he's like, "Look, I might die. Please don't bring me back. Do you have any advice?" She's like, "Look, I don't serve you. I serve R'hllor. If you die, I have to bring you back because you're part of the Lord of Light's plan." He's like, she's like, he could have brought you back to die. Jon's like, that's kind of whack. And it is what it is. It's the God we have. Everything is the Lord's will. Just, it's the same thing Kinvara was saying a few episodes ago in Marine.
Where the hell was she at in this episode?
I want to talk about that because, I don't want to get too far off track. So I'll just quickly say that with Melisandre, the most interesting part of that was that Melisandre has gotten her faith back because she was able to resurrect Jon. She says, "Look, I don't have power. This is all Jon's power." So clearly she's not, but she's still changed by the defeat she suffered with Stannis. I think she's more humble. I think she's a different person, and I think that I would say that she's probably not the same woman that burned Shireen so confidently last season at this point. I would say that's where there's going to be... I think she's a changed person in the sense that she probably feels guilty. This season dealt with a lot of that, like broken man stuff, like broken woman too, So that's going to be interesting. But Kinvara, the religion of the Lord of Light, this idea we've seen in so many places, this idea of different people thinking different leaders are the savior. Like, the Iron Islanders now think that Euron is some great hero that's going to save them in the wars to come. And
I don't know why all he did was not drown.
And then,
it's not that impressive.
In Marine, they think it's Daenerys. They think Daenerys is the prince who was promised.
Closer.
And Melisandre believes it's Jon, which, a lot of people do. But all over, you've got these different candidates for this messianic figure, but the religion of the Lord of Light is being more and more prominent in more and more areas of the world now. It's crept into Westeros and it's in different areas. But I really thought that there was a storyline to be built up there with them asking Kinvara for help in Meereen. And
I mean, they're raining fire down from the sky. You'd think that, you know, if you have a fire priestess, like, hey, you want to help?
I wonder if Kinvara's going to pop back up next week and she's going to say this was R'hllor's will and we've seen it in the flames. You know, he gave you great victory here, and the flames say that now you have to go to Westeros. Now is your time. You know, I don't know. But I would assume that even if it takes till next season to find out what it was, that we'll see Kinvara again, and that there's going to be at least some consequence behind Tyrion's actions in that sequence, and it wasn't just an interesting one-off. But going back to the battle, it was really, really gritty and dirty and mud and muck and confusing, and the awesome tracking shot where they're like inside the battle as it's swirling around, and I like how Sansa had said, "Look, Rickon's dead. I mean, we're not getting our brother back," which we thought that all season he was gonna die, and it was funny because you were always like, "He's gonna die without saying a word," and he
died
did.
without a single line.
He died without saying anything, and it was sad. But why didn't the kid zigzag?
Right. You gonna tell me Sir Roderick Cassell did not teach him, like, hey, if you're ever running and there are arrows coming down from the sky,
I mean,
zigzag.
Dude, my fat ass would have been zigzagging, Michael Vick spin
I'd have
moves.
just stood behind, like, one of the flaming flayed men, like,
stop, drop, and roll, like, anything to avoid getting
I'd have bitten
an arrow
Ramsay's neck out before I started running.
Right.
Like,
and it was really bad because, you know that Jon is going to do the thing that Sansa told him not to do there, which is immediately charge, and...
which I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him. But I'd
have done the same thing, honestly.
But how did you feel in that moment when it started playing that music that played when he was getting stabbed last season, and it went in slow motion, and the horses were charging, and it looked like he was literally about to die again?
I was like, I'm about to be done with this show for good.
Yeah, I really... There was like 30 seconds where I really thought he was going to die, and I was like... I might actually stop watching this show if this happens, because...
No. And then his cavalry showed up, and then it was just a giant clusterfuck of people just...
It was the most realistic battle sequence I've seen on a TV show, for sure.
Let's talk about Jon Snow's upper body strength, because that man knocked a man off of a horse with a single swipe of his sword.
Which the sword is an extremely heavy sword to begin with, so we're talking about a very strong person. And Jon was just sick nasty. He's just mowing people down. It was every bit what we expected.
Stabbing, headbutting.
Kit Harington is excellent at these sequences. He does almost all of his own stunt work on the show, and he is really, really good at these fight scenes. And if you saw him in that movie, Pompeii, which most people didn't see. It was a good movie.
It was dope.
Like, most people didn't see that movie.
It was Titanic set in Pompeii, but it was dope.
But, like, his sword work in that movie was incredible, too. Him and Mr. Echo.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, side note, check out Pompeii. It was actually good. But
you'll probably find it for, like, $4 at Walmart.
If I find it for $4, I'll buy it for sure. But,
I bet Richard Madden was watching this, like, would have been nice if I got in a cool battle. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, so Jon was an epic warrior, like, and he acquitted himself with honor. He, made his uncle and his father proud. So,
somebody's gonna be watching this like, I don't think Benjen knows anything about it. Like, that's not the uncle we were talking about.
Referring to. He reclaimed his mother's homeland.
Indeed.
But
Wyla wasn't from the north. You haven't been paying attention.
Sierra She Stars, like.
She was dead hundreds of years before he was born.
Ashara
Dane!
No. So the fight was just this really gritty, and it was terrifying, right? Because John looks like he's going to get trampled at one point. And Tormund is like, dude, we look like we're bats. Like, Tormund's like, oh my god.
Tormund was getting, like, hell beat out of him by the small John Umber, who I hope roasts in the deepest of 7 hells.
Oh, there's no doubt. So, yeah, it turned out that there was no bait and switch. That really was Shaggy Dog's head earlier this season.
Which I call
the
BS
small
on.
John really
I
was
do not
traitorous.
care. I don't care what you're going to try to convince me. You will never convince me that the Umbers, of all people in the North, would be like, yeah, we going to side with Ramsay Bolton. The Karstarks made sense. The Glovers not wanting to get involved made sense. The Umbers being like, no, we're just going to hand over Rickon.
And we were talking about this. We don't know if it's because of timing or money or what, but it was a little bit odd that they never even mentioned the Reeds. Especially since the Reeds have been a part of the show, and Howland Reed was in the Tower of Joy this year. I don't know. I assume we're going to hear about Howland Reed and the Reeds before the story's done, but it just... I would have thought there would have at least been a mention, and maybe, like you said, maybe someone would say, we don't have time to go looking for the Reeds, because Howland Reed went missing, and we don't know where he is.
He's at King's Landing, fools.
I mean, yeah, I assume
Although
that's
if
where
he's not, then I hope High Sparrow dies next week.
Yeah, so...
He is so annoying. And not because of his, like, crazy extemporaneous speeches. You know who I'm talking about.
The battle...
Lady. I hate her.
The battle went the way we thought it would, right? Right, so basically Ramsay...
I was waiting on giant eagles to swoop down from the sky to save John, but then I realized, oh wait, this is a good story. Yeah.
Ramsay was a pretty good, like field commander. I mean, he had a good plan for Stannis. He had a good plan for John, and from a military standpoint, I mean, he won. But what they weren't counting on was the 11th hour save. After they surrounded everyone, the Knights of the Vale show up, and Littlefinger's like, yeah, like,
and I was just like, still don't trust you.
But this is more clutch than when Gandalf showed up at the Battle of Helm's Deep, and after it was all but won.
Right.
It was. I was like, it's the only time I've ever been happy to see Littlefinger.
Yeah,
and he's like.
Probably has something to do with the fact that I just saw him and he didn't actually say anything, because whenever he opens his mouth, I'm like, well, somebody killed this man. Yeah.
You think in his mind, like in his warped mind, he's
Sansa's gonna love me for this, and we gonna get married.
Now we're even. I fulfilled my oaths to Cat.
We're not even.
Not even.
I remember season 1 when you turned on Ned Stark.
Ned Stark.
I don't care about everything
as
after that was just icing on the shit cake he gave me. Like, he needs to die.
Yeah. So I think that Peter Baelish is definitely going to make a full-on play for Sansa before it's over with, and I don't think it's going to end well. So after the battle,
I'm going to go with the odds of her and John getting together are greater than her and Peter Baelish getting together.
Yeah.
And I don't think either is going to happen.
John looks at Ramsay.
Ooh.
Ramsay knows that he done goofed.
He done goofed.
And the consequences will never be the same. So he flees, and there was a moment where I thought the episode was going to end with him on the run, and I was yelling at the TV, like, you better not do that to me. But they don't. He runs. He's like, they're like,
I thought he was going to run, like, far away. Instead, he was like, I'm going to run and hide in Winterfell.
That was a really bad plan.
They don't have any siege weapons. They have a giant, idiot.
Yeah. When they're like, our army's been broken, and he's like, we have Winterfell. And they're like, they have a giant. And like, 1-1 knocks the door down.
Right.
Like, by the way, rest in peace, 1-1.
Rest in peace.
What a noble.
Last of the giants.
It's like the Boltons are gone now, the Giants are gone, the Martells are gone, the Baratheons are gone. We're just losing species and houses.
The Baratheons aren't gone if,
the direwolves are going soon. To
be honest, only one direwolf really matters, and that's Ghost.
And I would have liked to have known where Ghost was. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Ghost there, but I guess there was like no way that they were going to do that without killing Ghost. So they're like,
I assume Jon told Ghost to stay with Sansa.
Probably. It would have been nice to see that majestic steed come up beside that horse and, So,
that would have been awesome.
So, they quickly get in, and Ramsay's like, "Oh, you said we could fight man to man. Well, I've reconsidered," and like he pulls out the bow.
But I'm like, that's okay. First of all, I'd have been like, guys, shoot him. We won. Shoot him.
You ever just see somebody that is so out of their depth? Like he said it earlier in the episode. He was like, "I don't know if I could beat you. I've heard that you're the greatest swordsman to ever walk the
Let's
North."
pause it right there.
Yeah.
Let's pause it right there.
How? Anybody
Because
know that?
the only people that know how sick, nasty Jon Snow is are members of the Night's Watch.
I actually assume that these people found this out when Sam was sending out like ravens to everybody. He was like, "Even though the Lord Commander's the greatest swordsman the North has ever seen, ... we gonna need some help."
Right.
Like,
because nobody was there when he killed Carl, the Legend of Jen fucking Alley. Like, nobody
who was still my favorite villain in the history of the show.
Let's be honest, Carl, the Legend of Jen Alley would have killed Ramsay.
I want the Carl, the Legend of Jen Alley spinoff.
Let's not go that far. Nobody was there to see Jon kill that White Walker last season. Unless everybody but Jon knows who his actual father is. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're the greatest swordsman in the North. Like,
now, if he had said...
You're not wrong.
If he had said, conventional wisdom says that you are the son of one of the greatest lords to ever roam the North, that would have been true.
Right.
But, yeah, so, but I think that, Jon was just like, dude, whatever. Like, and I love how Tormund and everyone's just like, Jon's got this. He's got it. He's just like, Zh! Like,
Ramsay was like, single combat. I'm going to shoot you with this arrow. Like, that's not how single combat works, too.
Jon smacks him in the face, punches him, jumps on top of him.
He hit him like in the throat with it first, then smacked him in the face, and then, solid 30 seconds, just punches the ever-living crap out of him. I'm like, this is the greatest
Yeah, someone
thing
counted 30 seconds full of, like, face punches.
I'd have thrown in some headbutts, too, and maybe some elbows.
It was the most gratifying thing I've ever seen on Game of Thrones.
It was until the final scene. Yeah.
And I love how Jon looks at Sansa. He's like, maybe I won't beat him to death, because maybe Sansa deserves a crack at this. So, he's like, "Alright, girl, do your thing." And so, they tie Ramsay up, put him in the kennels with his dogs, who he had been bragging about, hey, they're going to eat your balls.
I starved them for 7 days.
Fed them in 7 days. I can't wait to see them eat you. He's such a terrible person.
He will not be missed.
And I love that even until the very last second, he still, like, thinks he's in control of the situation. Like, my dogs aren't going to eat me.
They're loyal beasts.
Just like, you didn't feed them. Like,
Like, no beast is loyal when it's hungry.
And, she's...
Hell, I could be starving and I'd knock
like,
somebody out for a cheeseburger.
Right. He's like, "I'm inside you now," which was A, creepy, but B, I hope it's not a reference to the fact that we're going to find out she's pregnant next season.
If it is, that demon baby got to die.
Yeah.
And I know that's a controversial thing for me to say, but whatever.
The seed is strong, and we got to get it. But
because let's be honest, best case scenario, she give birth to a Bolton baby. That kid is also batshit crazy. He has to be killed years down the road. Ain't no good from this.
So this episode and the next episode were both directed by...
We're gonna get so much hate mail. Like, oh my god, they condone baby killing. Like, in the context of this show, I do. I don't care.
I mean,
they not real babies.
I would take that baby and catapult it.
Better than me.
I
just fed it to the dogs.
So...
Feed it to the... Ramsay fed his baby brother to the dogs. Feed Ramsay's son to the dogs.
That is horrifying symmetry, but I see what you did there. Okay. So
that should be my interview to get hired to write this show. Like, see, I'm just as fucked up as you guys.
This episode had been directed by the guy that directed Hard Home last season, and the episodes were paired off with directors this season, so he has one more, which is the finale, which is 7 minutes, the longest episode in the show's history.
Let's hope we don't go back to Dorne.
I don't think we're going to go back to Dorne.
There's nothing to see in Dorne except for the ashes and the shambles of a once great storyline.
We might see the Sand Snakes in King's Landing, maybe. I don't know. I kind of think that we're not going to see anything from Dorne again this season. I think that they realized that they screwed up the Dorne storyline last year, and that was why they went ahead and just immediately wrapped that up at the beginning of this season. The Martell's no longer a thing, so I kind of don't... Let's
be honest,
unless Euron Greyjoy... either at the end of this season or next season goes, well, Yara and Theon deboed my plan with the Dragon Queen, so I'm just going to go to Dorne. I don't see how they would fit the story back into it.
That'd be an even dumber plan, honestly.
I just don't see how they would fit that back into it, so I don't expect to see Dorne again. My favorite house in the books is House Martell. I love the Dorne storyline in the books. The show's version of what happened is completely unrecognizable.
House Martell, unbowed, unbent, unbroken,
non-existent,
except for in the TV show.
It's like
they got real broken.
It's bowed, bent, and extinct in the TV show. But I'm not going to be mad at it. The show does so many things great.
Did you notice when Theon earlier was like, and Euron is building more ships? Where?
No,
there are no trees on the island.
No trees. Not a single
tree.
Not
a single tree.
0 trees. But, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see Dorne. Do you think we're going to see Jorah anymore this season, or do you think they're going to wait? I kind of get the feeling we won't see him. That'll be next season.
I don't know. I doubt it. Although I am of the opinion that when we do see him, it'll be when we finally get to see what a Shy looks like. So...
reasonable belief. What about...
Or he'll run into Jon Connington and Fagon Targaryen.
That better not happen.
Let's not.
How about Sam and Gilly? Do you think we're going to see them
they might finally reach Old Town?
They'll reach Old Town in the finale?
Probably. Otherwise, we would have had Sam in one episode this season.
Do you think we're going to see Arya reach Westeros next episode, or that'll be next?
A hand of that teleportation technology that Jon and Sansa were using, maybe. If not, I think we'll see her get on a ship.
I assume she's probably going to be making way for Westeros. I think we'll see her in the finale briefly. We'll see Jon and Sansa talking about what comes next. Hopefully, they have a conversation about...
We all know what comes next.
The White
Walkers. Wall come tumbling down.
Do you think the wall's coming tumbling down in the next episode?
Part of me wants to say yes, but then a part of me is also there's still 2 more seasons, so I could see them waiting until next season to do it, although I don't want them to. But
yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, I feel like it depends on what happens in King's Landing next week.
I think that Cersei is going to burn that mother to the ground using the caches of wildfire.
The Sept
is on fire, and
they don't need no water.
Do you think we got confirmation?
It's still gonna fucking burn.
Do you think we got wink confirmation of that this week? When Tyrion was reminding everyone,
oh yeah,
the reason the Mad King burned is because he hid caches of wildfire all over the city, and he was like,
"Do you know why my brother Jaime killed him?"
And that's why he killed him. Yeah. So, and also, do you think that when Jaime finds out that what Cersei's done has probably caused Tommen to be collateral damage and killed a lot of innocent people, do you think that Jaime, whether it happens next week or next season, will kill Cersei because he is in fact the Valonqar?
Yeah, because as soon as Clegane Bowl wasn't a thing, I was like, oh, so it is going to be Jaime that kills her. Sweet, I've been saying that since the beginning.
Although I will say Clegane Bowl's not going to be a thing in the sense of it being that trial by combat. Clegane Bowl might be a thing in which those characters run across each other again. I'm still holding out hopes for that. Unless he dies this week.
Crisp. So
he might die. He might die next week. Maybe it's possible. That would forever douse Clegane.
I hope Varys shows up.
What is hype may never die.
I hope Varys shows up and kills Qyburn.
Yeah.
And Kevin.
Yeah, so last week, I don't think we talked about it, but Varys that secret mission. I'm hoping that it's to do what he did in the books, which is kill a couple of key players to make it easier for Daenerys to take over when she gets to Westeros. Although that's going to be the great irony when she gets there and everything has been burnt down.
Right? Well,
But,
hey, you can have King's Landing. Ain't much of it left, but have fun.
That crusty, blackened, ash-covered, we thought it was snow, but ash-covered room or whatever. So, I don't know. I suspect we'll see that. I do think that there's a possibility the wall might come down, but it could be pushed off till later.
Will not lie, I'll be kind of upset if I don't get Dolores in the finale.
I think the title being The Winds of Winter kind of makes me think that it's...
If the wall doesn't come down, then the White Walkers will at least reach it.
We're going to see the White Walkers, I think, because the last piece of this puzzle that we haven't talked about yet is what do we think Bran... I would imagine Bran is going to show up to the wall.
Yeah.
Bran is going to talk to Dolores Ed. He's going to say, look, I know some things and some stuff now. Which means Benjen will be reunited with people at the wall who know who he is, I would assume.
If he can pass through.
I'm hoping he can. He might not be able to. I don't know. We don't know the rules.
I don't know.
We don't know the rules of this.
He
on the
got
show.
Semi-White Walkered by the children of the forest. And we know from, at least the books that the White Walkers can't pass through the wall because of magics. And so the same magic that made him Cold Hands is what made them White. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to play that. But I assume that we're going to get information from Bran. Do you think we're going to get the Tower of Joy reveal?
I want to say yes, but knowing this show and how I've gotten everything I've wanted so far this season, I'm going to say no. Because I feel like I can't have it all, as I found out last night when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA Finals.
I honestly don't know. It's the two questions I had. The two biggest questions, or three biggest questions. I have three big questions going into the finale. Is the wall coming down in this episode? Will we learn the Tower of Joy reveal in this episode? And will Lady Stoneheart appear in this episode?
Probably not.
That one I'm going to give the least likely of the three.
Truth, I don't think so, because I honestly, after the last time we saw Beric Dondarrion and Thoros, they were like, we're headed north because
the cold winds are rising.
I don't think they really care about what the Freys are doing right now. So I don't think...
Now, we know we're going to see the Freys next week. We know that Jaime is going to stop by the twins because we saw Jaime talking to Walder Frey in the trailer. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen in that sequence? Do you think Jaime's just going to get really annoyed at Walder Frey and kill him or something? Or do you think that's just going to be like a stopover to have those two characters interact, and it's not going to amount to it? I don't know. I kind of feel like Walder Frey's on a collision course with death this season.
I honestly think Walder Frey is going to die, whether it's Jaime or somebody else.
Or do you think that it might even be the Brotherhood comes through there and kills them? That would be kind of unlike their normal MO.
I honestly don't know. I'd be confused as to how they did it because there are a crap ton of Lannister guards and Frey soldiers there.
The thing that makes me wonder about Stoneheart is just I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know why they would be showing us Jaime and Walder Frey in the finale if there wasn't something significant about that. So
I mean, Jaime didn't look too pleased in that trailer when he was just like, "Oh, I don't want to be here."
So there's that. Those were kind of the questions I had about going into the finale. So I mean, I would say Stoneheart's the least likely of the three options. The Tower of Joy reveal is probably the most likely. But then again, I don't know. Because that is one that they might not
The
cycle
one
around you
I'm
for a
curious
while.
about the most is, even though they probably won't react to it next week because of, Cersei's trial, I'm curious to see how the Crown reacts to the fact that the Starks took back Winterfell.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that the show, because there's so many moving parts, doesn't always do very well. Like, after the...
I am glad that Ramsay, even though he was the only one, referenced the fact that Jon just straight up left the Night's Watch.
Nobody knows that Jon was murdered by the Night's Watch and came back to life. Even then I was thinking, Jon, why don't you just be like, I didn't leave. My men murdered me, and I'm here.
Let's be honest, nobody would have believed that. They'd have been like, you bullshit.
Might not have believed it, but that might have fucked with his head. Like,
this man is batshit crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. So it's worth contemplating to think what is, what will happen with these characters now when they're realizing that the board is changing. I would assume that we won't get it in the next episode, anyone's reaction to what happened in the North. I'm hoping we do get it early next season, but this is one of those things that because of so many moving parts, the show has not always been good at showing people's reactions to things. Like, the whole conversation where Jon explained to Sansa that he was killed and brought back to life and about the White Walkers happened off screen. We didn't see it. The conversation where Jon learned that his brother and Catelyn and the Stark army had been slaughtered at the Twins, that happened off screen, and we saw like a reaction shot where he was like sad that Robb was dead. But I mean, there's like a lot of things like where we want people to find out big things, and we like to have character moments where they react to things that we reacted to, but sometimes they don't have the time to show them. So I hope that there's a scene where the council's like, holy crap, like the Starks have reclaimed Winterfell, like that could be trouble. But I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I mean, you've also noticed that certain characters, whenever they need to be, are omniscient. Like, I mean, Varys, like, little birds aside, always knows what's happening in every corner of the world. Tyrion, like, apparently has been...
He drinks and he knows things.
The most interesting thing about this is, wasn't there almost a moment there where when Theon and... when Tyrion was, like, picking at Theon or whatever, where... when he was like, I get it, you had a hard life growing up in Winterfell, not really knowing how you belonged. I almost thought he was going to be like, kind of like Jon Snow. I almost thought there was going to be like a Jon Snow name drop, like, and Daenerys was going to be like, who is this Jon Snow you speak of? But, like, because I'm like...
and then Theon would just be like, I mean, he's the greatest swordsman in the North.
And we would have been like,
how would you know? And then Tyrion would just be like, he's actually your brother's son. And then we'd have been like, what?
And we know about as much nothing as Jon Snow on these matters. So, all knowledge is gleaned from the world of Ice and Fire. So,
which can be yours if you just purchase it off of Amazon.com or your local bookstore.
Yeah. So,
or HBO.com, probably.
Yeah. So, thank you guys for watching. We have one more video. I know that this one is like almost 45 minutes long.
Suck it up.
I know that like a few of you, like Rachel and Aaron and Taylor, like, I know that you guys watch this almost every week, or you watch most of it. We thank you guys for doing that.
Share it.
Share it with your friends.
Like and subscribe.
We promise next season we're going to do something. Maybe we'll figure out a way to improve sound or lighting. Maybe
we'll set up.
We'll figure out a way to hang my my Targaryen banner, maybe for the background. We'll do something cool to make these videos more entertaining, and we are going to start making them shorter. I promise.
I won't promise that.
Next week might still be a long video because we're going to have to unpack a lot of material. But, if you're busy, you can't watch the whole video, in one setting, watch it in 2 or 3 pieces. That's what I do. I watch lots of YouTuber video reviews during the week. I watch 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes here, just as you can fit it in.
Or hell, convert the video to MP3 format and listen to it in your car.
Yes, for videos that are at least not much longer than this, you can convert these to MP3 files. You can listen to them in your headphones. So, your cars, you're driving. So that's an idea. But thank you guys. Share the videos.
Discmans.
Let anyone you know that might be interested in these videos know that they're a thing. And we'll see you next week for the finale of Game of Thrones entitled The Winds of Winter. The show gave us the Winds of Winter before George R.R. Martin.
Round of applause.
And it's his fault.